The gym wasn't open to the public that night. No cameras, no press, no cheering crowd, just the low hum of fluorescent lights and the faint scent of leather and sweat in the air. A few selected witnesses stood near the walls, trainers, fighters, long-time martial artists who understood what they were about to see. Then the door opened. Heavy footsteps echoed across the mat. It was Bolo Yeung, broad shoulders stretching the fabric of his black training shirt, arms thick as steel cables. His presence alone shifted the atmosphere. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. He didn't smile, he didn't speak. He simply walked forward and placed his bag down. A minute later, the door opened again. No dramatic entrance. No entourage, just Keanu Reeves stepping inside quietly, wearing a fitted grey hoodie and worn training gloves hanging from one hand. If you didn't know who he was, you might have mistaken him for another disciplined student arriving for late practice, but everyone in that room knew. Two legends. Two very different styles. One private sparring session. This wasn't a movie set. There were no stunt coordinators waiting to yell cut. This was controlled, but real. Bolo stood at one end of the mat, arms folded, studying Keanu carefully. Years of experience behind his eyes. A lifetime of strength training, martial arts conditioning, and cinematic combat dominance. Keanu stretched calmly, rolling his shoulders, breathing steady. No visible nerves, just focus. Someone near the wall whispered, "This is going to be quick," but no one agreed on for whom. They stepped onto the mat. No music, no introduction, just silence. They bowed. Respect first, and in that moment, the air felt heavier, because everyone understood something important. This wasn't about proving who was famous. It wasn't about ego, it was about testing skill against power, and once the first move was made, there would be no pretending. If you were standing there, who would you bet on? Raw strength or controlled precision? The truth is, this moment didn't happen overnight. This wasn't some random celebrity challenge. Both men had spent decades preparing for nights like this, whether they intended to or not. Bolo Yeung wasn't just known for looking intimidating. Long before global audiences recognized his imposing screen presence, he had built a reputation in competitive bodybuilding and traditional martial arts circles. His physique wasn't decoration. It was forged through relentless discipline. Powerlifting, conditioning drills, endless repetition. He represented an era where strength was a statement, explosive, direct, overwhelming. On the other side stood Keanu Reeves, someone many underestimated because of his calm personality. But those close to professional stunt teams and combat trainers knew a different story. For years, Keanu had quietly trained in multiple disciplines: striking, tactical firearms work, judo throws, and controlled sparring. Not for show, not for interviews, for mastery. Film audiences saw glimpses of that dedication in franchises like John Wick, where much of the choreography required real technical competence. Trainers who worked behind the scenes often mentioned one thing: he doesn't fake it. He practices until it's second nature. So when mutual contacts in the martial arts community suggested a respectful sparring session, private, controlled, no cameras, it wasn't about headlines. It was curiosity. What happens when two different generations of combat philosophy meet? Raw, muscular dominance from a classic era versus modern hybrid efficiency built on precision and timing. Back in the gym, the atmosphere shifted from curiosity to tension. The witnesses weren't random fans, they were experienced. Some had cornered professional fighters. Others had decades of dojo training behind them, and even they weren't predicting an outcome confidently, because this wasn't a street fight. It wasn't about chaos, it was about control. Bolo rolled his shoulders slowly, warming up his neck. Every movement deliberate, efficient. He radiated grounded stability, like trying to push over a stone pillar. Keanu bounced lightly on the balls of his feet, testing distance from across the mat, his breathing steady, eyes scanning, calculating angles. The contrast couldn't have been clearer. One looked immovable, the other looked adaptable. A trainer quietly reminded them of the rules. Controlled contact. No reckless escalation. Mutual respect at all times. Both nodded. No trash talk. No smirks. Just understanding. They approached the center of the mat. The gym felt smaller somehow. Even the air seemed tighter. This wasn't about proving who was stronger, in a headline. It was about something deeper. Validation. Validation of decades of sacrifice, of early mornings, of bruised ribs, of ice packs and discipline. Two martial artists, two philosophies, one unspoken question hanging between them. When power meets precision, which one bends first? If skill and strength collide, which do you think lasts longer over time? They circled slowly, no rush, no reckless movement, just calculation. The sound of their bare feet shifting across the mat echoed louder than it should have. Every small adjustment felt amplified in the silence. Bolo Yeung moved first, a subtle step forward, testing distance. It didn't look fast, but it closed space instantly. His presence alone forced a reaction. Across from him, Keanu. Reeves didn't retreat. He adjusted his angle instead. Slight pivot, lead hand raised, chin tucked. Observers along the wall exchanged glances. This wasn't playful. This was technical. Bolo's first strike came without warning. A sharp, probing jab, heavy even at half speed. It wasn't meant to land clean. It was a measurement. Tool. Keanu slipped just outside the line of impact. Minimal movement. Efficient. No wasted energy. Bolo followed with a quick low kick. Controlled but powerful. The kind designed to test balance. Contact. A dull thud echoed. Keanu absorbed it, shifting weight smoothly instead of resisting the force. His expression didn't change. He countered immediately. A fast body shot combination, pulled short before, full impact. Clean form, clean timing. The watchers stopped breathing. Bolo nodded slightly. Acknowledgement. Then the pace increased. Bolo pressed forward with surprising speed for a man of his size. His strikes weren't wild. They were compact, disciplined, backed by serious strength. Keanu moved laterally, cutting angles, forcing resets. His style wasn't about overpowering, it was about repositioning. For 30 seconds, neither gained clear advantage. Then came the first real moment. Bolo feinted high, subtle shoulder twitch. Keanu reacted, half beat. That's all it took. Bolo stepped in with a controlled but forceful straight punch that grazed Keanu's guard and tapped his upper chest. Not full power, but enough to show what would happen if it landed clean. A few people near the wall shifted uncomfortably. Power speaks loudly. Keanu stepped back once. Reset. No frustration. Just recalculation. He exhaled slowly. Then he changed. Rhythm. Instead of circling wide, he stepped inside the next advance, closing distance deliberately. It surprised Bolo for a fraction of a second. Keanu initiated a brief clinch exchange, using leverage rather than force, testing balance instead of striking. Bolo resisted easily at first, but Keanu wasn't trying to move him with strength. He was reading his center of gravity. They disengaged smoothly. The energy had shifted. This was no longer size versus agility. It was adaptation versus dominance. Sweat began forming along Bolo's temple. Keanu's breathing remained steady, but more focused now. The gym felt electric. Nobody whispered anymore. They understood what they were witnessing. Two experienced martial artists adjusting in real time. No script, no choreography, just instinct shaped by years of repetition. Bolo stepped forward again, this time with more intent, and the air between them felt like it might spark, because now they both knew the other was capable. The energy shifted the moment Bolo decided to press harder. Until now, the exchange had been measured, tactical, respectful. But something changed in his eyes. Not anger. Focus. Bolo Yeung stepped forward with a level of commitment that forced everyone against the wall to straighten up. This wasn't a probe. This was pressure. A powerful combination came fast. Jab, cross, low kick, each strike controlled, but carrying unmistakable weight behind it. Even at partial force, the sound of contact echoed differently now. He wasn't testing anymore. He was asserting. Across from him, Keanu Reeves didn't panic, but he did adjust. Instead of circling wide, he tightened his guard and reduced movement. Shorter steps, more economical shifts. He began conserving space, rather than giving it away. Bolo stepped in again. This time, with a body shot that thudded into Keanu's guard, forcing him back half a step. That half step mattered. The observers felt it. Momentum, even in controlled sparring, is psychological, and, for the first time, it looked like Bolo had it. Another forward burst. A heavy overhand motion. Pulled short at the last second, but close enough to graze Keanu's shoulder. Power. Real power. A whisper moved through the gym. But then something subtle happened. Instead of retreating again, Keanu planted his foot. He didn't meet force with force. He changed timing. As Bolo initiated the next advance, Keanu slipped slightly offline, not backward. Not sideways, but diagonally inside the arc of the strike. It was a small shift, almost invisible, but it erased the power angle completely. Bolo's strike passed through air, and in that opening, Keanu countered with a sharp, controlled body. Combination, compact, precise, pulled before full impact, but clean. Very clean. The sound was different. Crisp. Technical. Bolo stepped back once. Not because he was hurt, because he respected what just happened. The room went still. For the first time, Bolo smiled, not mockery. Recognition. He nodded slowly. That exchange had changed the narrative. This wasn't brute force versus defense anymore. It was experience versus adaptation. Bolo rolled his shoulders again and increased speed. Yes, speed. For someone built like him, the acceleration was shocking. A quick double jab forced Keanu to reset. A sweeping low kick tested balance again. Contact landed. Keanu absorbed it, but this time he responded instantly. Not with strikes, but with positioning. He stepped inside and initiated a brief clinch exchange again. Only this time, it was sharper, more intentional. He shifted his weight subtly and disrupted Bolo's balance for half a second. Half a second is everything in combat. Bolo recovered immediately. Strong base, powerful core, but the message was clear. You can be moved. The tension became mutual. Both understood now. Neither would dominate easily. They disengaged again, breathing slightly heavier, sweat visible now on both men. The spectators weren't thinking about winners anymore. They were witnessing adjustment in real time. Bolo feinted high again, the same subtle shoulder twitch from earlier. This time Keanu didn't bite. He waited. Bolo committed to a mid-level strike, and Keanu countered with a perfectly timed step-off and short inside hook, pulled but precise. It landed clean against Bolo's guard. Another nod. Another silent exchange of respect. No knockdowns, no wild swings, just 2 decades of discipline colliding with absolute control. And then came the moment that defined everything. Bolo launched forward, with his most explosive movement yet, a controlled but overwhelming burst designed to break rhythm entirely. For a split second, it looked unstoppable. But Keanu didn't retreat. He pivoted, redirected, and placed himself just outside the center line again. The force passed him, not through him. And in that instant, everyone understood something powerful. Strength is terrifying, but timing can neutralize it. They stepped back simultaneously, neither smiling now, just focused. The turning point wasn't about damage, it was about realization. Both had proven something, and both knew. This was far from over. By now, the gym no longer felt like a training space. It felt like a proving ground, not for dominance, for understanding. Both men had tested each other's strengths. Both had felt the other's timing. And both knew something important now. There would be no easy finish. Bolo Yeung inhaled deeply, expanding his chest like a steel vault. Sweat traced down his temples, but his posture remained solid, rooted, grounded, immovable. Across from him, Keanu Reeves flexed his fingers inside his gloves and reset his stance. His breathing was controlled, but slightly heavier now. Not fatigue, intensity. The earlier exchanges had been tactical. This next phase was psychological. Bolo stepped forward again, slower this time. Measured. He wasn't trying to overwhelm anymore. He was trying to draw something out. A mistake. A commitment. An overextension. Keanu didn't bite. Instead of initiating, he waited. That surprised a few observers. Up to this point, he had responded quickly, adapted quickly, but now he stood still. Balanced. Watching. It was a quiet challenge. Bolo feinted low. Nothing! He twitched high. Still nothing. The calm was intentional. Keanu wasn't reacting to movement. He was reacting to intention. Then it happened. Bolo launched a sharp inside leg kick, faster than before, immediately followed by a straight punch down the center line. The combination was crisp, efficient, dangerous. The kick landed partially, the punch nearly followed clean, but Keanu shifted at the exact last moment, redirecting the strike off his guard and stepping just outside range. And this time, he countered fully. Not reckless, not wild, but decisive. A fast, three-strike body-head-body combination, pulled before full power, but unmistakably clean. The sound echoed sharply. Even controlled, it carried authority. For a fraction of a second, Bolo's balance shifted. Not lost, shifted. The room froze. That was the clearest exchange yet. Bolo stepped back and raised his hand slightly, not in surrender. In acknowledgement. Respect. The message was unspoken, but understood. You're not surviving. You're competing. They circled again, slower now, both recalibrating. The intensity hadn't dropped. It had deepened. This was no longer about who could land harder. It was about who could maintain composure under pressure. Bolo moved first again, but instead of a strike, he initiated a clinch deliberately. Chest to chest, testing strength directly. His arms wrapped with controlled pressure, trying to feel leverage points. And here, this was his domain. Raw physical force. For a moment, it looked like Keanu might be overpowered. Bolo's base was solid, legs planted like pillars. But Keanu didn't push against him. He rotated, shifted hips, changed angles, subtle, technical. Instead of resisting the pressure head-on, he redirected it sideways, breaking the symmetry of the clinch. For half a second, Bolo had to reset his footing. Half a second is everything. They disengaged cleanly, breathing heavier now, sweat visible on both shoulders. Neither smiling, but neither frustrated. This was mutual elevation. The next exchange was brief but sharp. A low kick from Bolo, a quick counter jab from Keanu, followed by immediate disengagement. Both understood something crucial now. They weren't looking for knockouts. They were looking for clarity. Clarity of limits, clarity of style, clarity of capability. Bolo exhaled slowly and gave a small nod. Keanu nodded back. No words, just understanding. The witnesses along the wall realized something too. This wasn't about a winner, it was about confirmation. Bolo had proven his power translated beyond appearance. Keanu had proven his skill wasn't cinematic illusion. The final exchange came almost naturally. Bolo advanced with controlled aggression. Keanu pivoted with precise timing. A brief, clean strike exchange. Blocked, redirected, countered. Then, distance. Both stepped back simultaneously. No referee called time. No buzzer sounded. But something inside the room shifted. It was done. Not because someone fell. Not because someone dominated, but because both had found what they came for. Bolo extended his glove first. Keanu met it, firm, respectful. The tension dissolved instantly. The observers finally exhaled. What they had witnessed wasn't a fight fueled by ego. It was a conversation, spoken in movement. Two martial artists from different generations, different builds, different philosophies, meeting in the only language that mattered on the mat: control, discipline, respect. And as they stepped off the mat, one truth lingered in the silence. Real fighters don't need to prove they're superior. They prove they belong. If there's no knockout, can there still be a clear statement made? For a few seconds after they touched gloves, no one moved. The air felt lighter, but heavier at the same time, the kind of silence that follows something meaningful, not dramatic, not explosive, just real. Bolo Yeung stepped back first, rolling his shoulders slowly. His breathing was deeper now, chest rising and falling steadily. Sweat glistened under the gym lights, tracing the outline of decades of conditioning. Across from him, Keanu Reeves removed one glove and flexed his fingers, nodding slightly. No celebration. No raised hands, just composure. The observers along the wall finally relaxed their stances. A few exchanged looks that said everything without words. That was different. Not because someone got knocked down, but because neither man broke character under pressure. Bolo walked forward calmly. For a moment, it almost felt like another round might begin. Instead, he extended his hand fully this time. Not a glove touch, a handshake. Firm, direct. Keanu accepted it without hesitation. And then Bolo spoke. His voice low, steady. Good control. Simple words. But in a martial arts setting, that's high praise. Keanu gave a small smile. Strong base, he replied. Another acknowledgement. Two veterans recognizing each other's discipline. No ego, no posturing. The trainers nearby began quietly discussing what they had just seen. Not who won, but how each adapted. One pointed out Keanu's angle shifts. Another noted Bolo's pressure control and balance. This wasn't gossip, it was analysis. Because what happened on that mat wasn't about celebrity status, it was about years of unseen work. Bolo had carried raw physical power with remarkable control. Not once did he lose discipline. Every strike was measured, every movement intentional. Keanu had carried tactical composure. Not once did he panic under forward pressure. Every pivot had purpose. Every counter had timing, different strengths. Same foundation, respect. After a few minutes, Bolo picked up his towel and wiped his face. He looked back once, not challengingly, appreciatively. Keanu sat briefly on the edge of the mat, elbows resting on his knees, catching his breath. The tension was gone now. In its place was something rarer, mutual validation. They hadn't stepped onto that mat to build hype. There were no cameras waiting outside, no promotional posters, no press releases, just a quiet understanding among those who witnessed it. Sometimes, the most powerful moments in combat aren't violent, they're controlled. A younger fighter watching from the wall finally spoke up. So, who won? The question lingered. A trainer shook his head lightly. That wasn't about winning, and that was the truth. Because if it had been about ego, the energy would have felt different. There would have been reckless exchanges, hard shots thrown with something to prove. Instead, there was restraint, calculated pressure, measured response. That's not how rivals fight. That's how martial artists test each other. Bolo walked toward the exit, gym bag over his shoulder. Before leaving, he paused near Keanu. "Train hard," he said. Keanu nodded. "Always." And that was it. No dramatic ending, no shouting, no rivalry born, just two men returning to their separate paths, slightly sharper than before. The witnesses would later talk about that night in quiet conversations, not exaggerating, not inventing knockdowns, but describing the intensity, the focus, the moment where power met timing, and neither collapsed. Because the real shock wasn't that one dominated the other. It was that both showed exactly why they're respected. Strength didn't crumble under precision. Precision didn't fold under strength. They adapted, and adaptation is the highest level of skill. As the gym lights dimmed and the doors locked behind them, one lesson lingered in the empty space. True fighters don't chase validation. They chase growth, and sometimes the strongest statement you can make is walking away with respect intact. By the time the gym lights dimmed, the story had already begun to change. Not inside the room, but outside of it. Someone mentioned it to a friend. A trainer referenced it during another session. A quiet comment turned into speculation. Soon whispers grew into headlines. Did Bolo overpower him? Did Keanu outclass him? Was there a knockdown? But the truth was far less dramatic and far more powerful. Inside that gym, there was no humiliation, no domination, no cinematic finish. What happened between Bolo Yeung and Keanu Reeves wasn't about spectacle. It was about something the internet rarely celebrates. Restraint. People love the idea of a decisive ending, a knockout, a fall, a clear winner. But martial arts at its highest level doesn't always look like that. Sometimes it looks like two men testing boundaries without crossing lines. 2 decades of discipline meeting without ego. In the days that followed, exaggerated versions of the story spread. Some claimed Bolo's power was too much. Others insisted Keanu's timing neutralized everything. But those who were actually present said something consistent. Both were impressive. Both were controlled. Both were dangerous. And both chose respect over escalation. That choice is what truly shocked everyone, because in a world obsessed with proving superiority, they proved something else. Control is strength, restraint is confidence, respect is earned through discipline, not noise. Think about it. Bolo, known for overwhelming physical presence, never tried to intimidate. He applied pressure, but never recklessness. Keanu, known globally as an action star, never tried to perform. He adapted, but never postured. There was no attempt to create a viral moment, no trash talk, no raised voices, just acknowledgement, and that's rare, especially between two figures whose legacies come from power. The younger fighters who heard about the session later asked the same question. Why didn't they push harder? The answer is simple. Because real martial artists understand risk. They understand longevity. They understand that proving a point isn't worth injury when respect is already established. A knockout might impress spectators, but control impresses masters. What made that night unforgettable wasn't impact. It was evolution. Both men walked away sharper than when they arrived. Bolo had faced someone who didn't fold under pressure. Keanu had faced someone whose base couldn't be easily disrupted. They exposed each other's limits, without exploiting them recklessly. That's growth, and growth is the highest level of victory. In many ways, that quiet handshake at the end said, more than any knockout ever could. It said, I see your skill. I respect your discipline. I acknowledge your strength. No trophy needed, no crowd required, just mutual understanding. And perhaps that's why the story resonated so deeply when it finally leaked beyond those gym walls. Because people expected violence. They got maturity. People expected dominance. They got balance. In modern culture, especially online, everything becomes exaggerated. Every clash must have a winner. Every encounter must crown someone superior. But that night challenged that mindset. It suggested something uncomfortable, but true. 2 strong individuals can meet without one destroying the other. 2 philosophies can collide without collapse. Strength and precision don't have to cancel each other out. They can coexist, and maybe that's the bigger lesson. Power without discipline becomes chaos. Precision without courage becomes hesitation. But when both are guided by respect, you get mastery. That's what the witnesses carried with them, not a highlight reel, not a dramatic ending. A reminder that the most dangerous fighters aren't the loudest. They're the most controlled. As the weeks passed, neither Bolo nor Keanu publicly addressed the session in dramatic terms. No interviews claiming victory, no subtle boasts, just silence. And that silence spoke volumes. Because when you truly know your level, you don't need validation, you don't chase applause, you don't Rewrite the story to make yourself bigger. You let the moment stand on its own. So when people ask, who really won? Maybe the better question is, what does winning mean? Is it overpowering someone? Or is it walking away respected by someone equally skilled? That night didn't produce a knockout. It produced something far rarer. Mutual elevation, two men stepping onto a mat as individuals and stepping off as equals. So tell me, do you believe a fight needs a clear winner to matter? Or is discipline under pressure the ultimate victory? Comment your thoughts below, like if respect should always come before ego.